Welcome back to the deep dive. So I think we've all been there. You do your entire, meticulously planned skincare routine. And then your foundation or your BB cream, it just immediately starts flaking, rolling up, separating. That pilling effect.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if that's you, then this deep dive is what you need. Our mission today is to finally crack the code on applying moisture cream to stop that from ever happening again.
That phenomenon, that pilling, or what our sources call mill-limb,
Yeah.
it's when the product layers just don't bond properly.
Right.
And it's so frustrating. But what's interesting is that the expert guides we're looking at, they make it really clear it's not usually a problem with your skin or even the product itself.
It's the technique.
It's the technique, exactly.
So that's our mission. We're digging into some incredibly precise sources that they really zero in on two things. First, how the physical texture of the cream dictates your application style. And second, the absolute necessity of what they call amount control.
That term, amount control, or Yang-jo-jeol, it is the foundational rule for everything. If you can master the right amount for the right texture, you maximize the product's effectiveness.
And you get that true adherence, that milcha-creoke, before you even think about makeup.
That's the goal.
Okay, let's unpack this. I love that the source is sort of built a complexity ladder for us. We're starting with the easiest textures and then, working our way up.
Right, let's start where life is simple.
Please.
Absolutely. The first category is the most forgiving one. We're talking about those thin, runny, really absorbent, essence-like textures.
Okay.
They're mostly focused on hydration, not a lot of heavy ingredients that are designed to, sit on the skin.
And the source material here is, it's almost shockingly casual. It basically says that with this texture, you can apply it liberally, almost carelessly.
It does, yeah. The phrase is makbolrado doyo, just kind of slap it on.
Which seems to fly in the face of the whole less is more skincare thing we always hear.
It does, but there's a reason for that freedom, a scientific one. These formulas are overwhelmingly water, humectants like glycerin or hyaluronic acid, simple stuff.
So they just sink right in?
They sink right in. They absorb completely super fast. They don't have high concentrations of the complex polymers or barrier agents that create a physical film, so they don't pill. They can't.
They're the perfect base layer because they basically just disappear.
Exactly.
So we're good with those. But here's where it gets complicated, and probably where a lot of you start running into trouble. The second you move past those runny essences, you hit the soothing gel textures.
And that is the critical transition point, because pilling starts to happen here. Even if the source just calls it Seljac, a slight amount.
And why? What's the change?
Well, to get from an essence to a gel, you add gelling agents, which are basically specialized polymers.
Polymers.
Yeah.
Those are the things that give the product its structures, right? Make it feel bouncy or thick.
Precisely. They're long-chain molecules, and they are film-forming. They create this light temporary net on your skin to hold the moisture in.
A net. Okay.
But if you rub that net too hard, or if you apply too much of it,
It starts to roll up on itself.
it starts to detach and roll up. And that is the pilling we are trying to avoid.
So the gel texture is really the first sign that we need to switch our mindset from, carefree to strategic.
100%. Now you're dealing with materials that physically adhere to your skin. If you mess with that adherence, you get pilling.
And this leads to a really crucial tip in the sources. When you're choosing these gels, it says you have to check the content of moisture barrier and blocking agents.
Yes. This directly connects what's in the bottle to your success on your face. If a gel leans really heavily on those film-forming or blocking agents to lock in hydration, you must use less.
Or you're basically guaranteeing pilling later.
You are.
That makes perfect sense. The more film former you have, the more careful you have to be. Which brings us right back to the central theme here. Amount control.
Yang-jo-jeol.
It doesn't matter if it's a gel or a super dense cream, it's everything.
It's the absolute core rule. It's like cooking, right? You can have the best ingredients in the world, but if you don't measure them correctly, the whole dish fails.
Right.
The correct amount ensures the cream absorbs fully and evenly. It creates a smooth canvas, not some sticky layer that's going to separate later on.
And I appreciate that the sources aren't just giving one rule for everyone. They recognize that the correct amount changes. It changes with the environment. The guide is super specific, linking the dose to the season.
Yes. For example, in summer Yeoryum, the air is warm, it's humid, your skin is losing less moisture. So the recommendation is for one specific unit.
The implication being, you just need less.
You need less. The environment is helping your skin do its job.
But then you contrast that with winter or Guile. Now your skin is fighting central heating, cold wind, low humidity. Your transepidermal water loss, or TEWL, is
It's
just,
rampant.
it's out of control.
So the dosage has to increase dramatically.
Yeah.
The sources suggest starting with an amount that's like a kidney bean size, Conal, and sometimes even adding a second one, depending on how dry you are.
Which shows that expert technique isn't static. It's responsive. You're constantly adjusting.
You have to listen to your skin and the weather.
Okay, but hold on. A kidney bean size, how reliable is that really? I mean, the size of a kidney bean can vary a lot. A little dried navy bean is way different from a giant lima bean. That sounds kind of vague.
That is a very sharp point. And it gets at the difference between, say, practical advice and lab science. When they say kidney bean size, it's not a metric measurement.
It's a cue.
It's a proportional indicator. It just means enough product to thinly cover a certain area, like your T-zone, without leaving any residue. The key takeaway is the ratio. You need roughly double the summer amount in the winter.
Ah, I see.
It forces you to consciously increase your dose when you're probably under-applying.
Okay, that reframes it perfectly. It's not a formula. It's a visual cue for an adjustment.
Exactly. And if we look at the one place where this amount control is the most restrictive, it's for troubled areas. If you have acne-prone skin, active blemishes to Rio, Blainamboe, the rule is firm. Apply less. Deo jukje balrayadweo.
Why so strict? I mean, if troubled skin is inflamed and dehydrated, wouldn't you want to protect it with a really good barrier cream?
That's a super important distinction. We need to separate beneficial hydration from what can be detrimental occlusion. It's about what's in the cream.
Right.
All good moisturizers have some level of occlusive agents or blocking agents. The sources call them ilpaija.
Occlusive agents. Okay, so we can think of those like saran wrap for your face. They create a physical seal.
That's a great analogy. Their job is to stop moisture from escaping. But if you put a heavy layer of that saran wrap over an inflamed area, which is essentially a compromised wound,
You're trapping everything underneath.
you risk creating an anaerobic environment.
Yeah.
You seal in bacteria, sebum, inflammation. You can actually clog the pores. Malgongahera makilishu ikdishjuo.
So
Yeah.
we could be trying to repair the barrier, but actually end up suffocating the skin and making the breakout worse.
It's the ultimate skin betrayal.
Yeah.
And it raises a big question, right? Well,
Yeah.
we're focusing so much on surface hydration that we forget that compromised skin needs to breathe and heal.
So less cream on those breakout zones is actually a form of protection.
It is. You're spot treating the inflammation, not slathering the whole area.
This level of precision is just...
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So it's clear that conscious application is non-negotiable. And that brings us to the final and most complex category.
the heavyweights.
The big guns.
Yeah. We're talking encapsulated creams, high oil content creams, or just those really thick, dense, barrier creams.
Right.
And the sources are crystal clear on this. You cannot apply these directly from the jar onto your face.
I will confess I am guilty of this. Just scooping up a rich cream with my fingertips and spreading it right on.
Yeah.
And I remember the result was almost immediate pilling when I tried to put sunscreen on top. That is the exact failure mode this technique is designed to avoid. Because these creams are so rich, so viscous, applying them directly creates a thick, uneven layer that just sits there. It maximizes the chance of pilling and it blocks absorption.
Okay, so we need a pre-treatment method, and the sources have this beautiful, precise four-step technique for these heavyweights, the spatula method. Can you walk us through it?
Yeah, let's do it. So step one is dispensing. You scoop the cream out onto the palm of your hand. Sanbadak iario deovli.
The palm, not the fingertips. Why the palm? Is it surface area? Heat?
It's both, but mostly surface area for the next most crucial step. Step two, tempering or warming. This is where the magic happens.
Yeah.
You spread the cream out on your palm and you treat your hand like a spatula. You flatten that dense product into a thin, even layer.
This is the secret sauce. You are literally working the cream before it even touches your face. What's happening to the cream's structure when we do that?
You're solving two big problems, viscosity and density. First, the heat from your palm, which is way warmer than your fingertip, it starts to melt the oils and solids. It makes the thick cream more fluid.
It thins it out a bit.
It thins it out. And second, by spreading it, you're pre-leveling it. So when you go to apply it, you're guaranteed to be grabbing a uniformly thin film, not a dense clump.
So the cream is basically ready to adhere perfectly the second it hits your skin.
That's the idea. It's like pre-mixing an ingredient right before you use it. It's almost sculptural, like you said.
It is.
So once it's tempered and warmed, you move to step three, application. You scoop up tiny amounts from that prepared layer on your palm and apply them lightly. Jojium Sekbala Junu and Jujuo.
Lightly, so patting or tapping, not dragging.
No dragging. You're building the coverage gradually with this softened, thinned-out product. And then comes the final critical step, the sealing.
The finishing touch.
Step 4 is the finishing touch. You use your whole palms to gently press Jujido Liosio, the cream, onto the skin. You use that residual heat to help it settle, pushing it into the skin, not letting it sit on top.
And that final pressing motion ensures everything is perfectly adhered and sealed.
Exactly.
The sources promise that this makes the cream absorb better. The phrase they use is it eats up better, deojal mioxium. And that visual of the skin eating the cream, it really drives home the difference between product sitting on the surface versus true absorption.
That's right. When you skip the tempering, the product just sits there, waiting for the next layer to disturb it. This spatula method ensures that even the heaviest texture is integrated perfectly. You get all the barrier support without the risk of separation.
That is just fantastic, deeply practical knowledge. Okay, so let's sum this up. We've established that texture absolutely dictates technique. From, the carefree application of runny essences all the way to the strategic 4-step spatula method for thick creams.
And the one constant through all of it is precision in amount control. It is non-negotiable, especially when you factor in seasonal needs and the dangers of over-occluding troubled skin.
What's so fascinating when you connect the dots here is that the application method itself becomes a critical step in the formulation process. You're not just applying cream. By tempering it on your palm, you are physically transforming it, pre-warming it for optimal performance. You become the final essential step of quality control.
It completely shifts the dynamic. It turns a manual routine into this sort of microscientific process. It's designed to make those occlusive agents work for you, not against you.
And we covered how seasonality and troubled spots determine the optimal amount, 1 kidney bean or 2. It's all about adjusting the dose based on your immediate need.
Your environmental need.
Right. So here's a final provocative thought for you to consider, building on all this. Given how crucial seasonal changes in troubled skin are in determining the amount, how might adjusting your daily application timing further refine your success? Specifically, is it better to use your lighter, less occlusive textures in the morning for layering under makeup, and reserve that thick, heavy spatula method cream for the night when its maximum power can work completely undisturbed? Something to mull on until our next deep dive.